today's video, I'll be demonstrating some of the techniques that I use in the Creative Haven by the Sea Color by Number book by George Tufeksis. This is the only color by number book that I have, and I use it when I just want to do some mindless coloring without needing to worry about choosing colors. So let's get going. So let me show you some of the pages that I've completed in this book. This is the first one. All of the pages I've colored so far, I colored using Castle Arts 120 pencils, but I'm considering using other pencils in the future. I will show you how I color the sky and the clouds and the bushes and the water as well. Another page that I've done is this one. Okay, again, it's Castle Arts pencils, and here I used a slightly different technique with the sky that I'll show you, and the mountains and the water, and again the bushes. Okay, and the last one that I finished is this one. Okay, again, it's a slightly different technique with the water and the clouds and the feathers on the bird. I'll show you how I did that too. And there's one page that I've started, which I will be using to demonstrate some of the techniques. So I've already done the sky, okay, and I'll explain how I did that, and I think I'll show you how I did some of the water, and yeah, as we go along, I'll show you how I do all of that. Right, so now I'll show you some of the features of the book. Okay, so on the inside cover, you have the list of colors that correspond to the numbers on the pages. And for example, you have light blue and yellow and pink and so on. Some of the colors are tones of each other. So for example, light blue and dark blue are the light, mid, and dark tones of the same shade. Okay, and 0 means shade. In other words, you either use your darkest color or black or dark gray. Okay, and if there's no number, then it's white. Okay, but I never use white. I'll explain what I do instead. And in addition, you also have thumbnails for each of the pictures so that you can see what it should look like once the page is colored in. And you have at the back additional thumbnails for other pages. Okay, so for example, if we have this page, then that's the thumbnail. Okay, right. So in addition, in the introduction, you have some tips and techniques that the book recommends, but there are other tips and techniques that I also use that are not mentioned here. So tip number 1 is to swatch out your colors for whichever pencils that you're going to use. So for example, I swatched out the Castle Arts pencils that match the colors that are listed in the book. Okay, so again, here we have the colors, and I created a specific swatch chart for the Castle Arts pencils. And once I move on to a different brand of pencil, I will do the same thing for that brand. I also swatched for a set of watercolor markers that I have in case I wanted to base. You can also use alcohol markers because the pages are single-sided. Okay, so you can definitely use alcohol markers as well. Okay, either for basing or for coloring itself. Right, so that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to use 3 different shades, okay? So you've got your light tone, your mid-tone, and your dark tone. And as I said, for many of the colors, they are actually listed in the list of colors, but not for all of them. So say, for example, red, okay? There's pink, red, and dark red, but I would not consider pink a light shade of red, okay? There are lighter tones of red than pink. Okay, so you can always mix and match. Find a light, mid, and dark tone for red, and a light, mid-tone and dark tone for pink. And then you can make some changes in the page itself if you want to. Okay, that's while it's regimented, it's not so regimented that you can't make changes. Okay, tip number 3 pertains to the lines, okay? So I don't consider the lines to be strict and limited, okay? You can go over the lines, you can blend over them, you can shade over them, you can put shading in places where there isn't any lines, based on how you feel that the page should come out. So I do tend to shade in areas that might not exactly be what's indicated in the book itself. So for example, here with these this tree, all right, the lines actually gave me 3 different colors, but not necessarily exactly where I put the color. So for example, that's the dark tone, okay, and that's the light tone, and I added the mid-tone, which wasn't there in the original picture. Let me show you the page that I'm coloring now, and it will also become evident. So for example, 13 is the mid-tone and 23 is the dark tone, but I also put in a light tone that is not indicated in the numbers themselves. And the way I do that is I first put the layer of light pencil over everything and then shade with the mid-tone and the dark tone, exactly as I would in a regular coloring book. Okay, so again, the lines are a guide and they are not set in stone. Another tip has to do with white. So again, let's go back to that page. So as you can see, we have white here and there, okay, and also above the stones and in the sailboat. But if we zoom in, you will see that I didn't use white. Okay, I didn't leave it white. The book suggests leaving it white, but I feel that that isn't going to make the object actually look white, because white objects always reflect colors around them. So what I did was I put a shade of light gray, okay, and then left a highlight, and then I went around everything with white gel pen. And I did the same on the sailboat, light gray, leaving some of it white, and then white gel pen. And I did the same or something similar here, okay, except here I shaded the clouds with blue, and then I used a white Prismacolor to blend it all in, and then outlined it with a white gel pen. And here too, I outlined with a white gel pen some of the other clouds as well. And that is actually tip number 4, is to use white gel pen over some of the lines to blend them out. I did it here in the clouds and also on the pelican's feathers. So here I whited out that line, and I put in some white gel pen on the bird's feathers to make them stand out. And I also did it here in the water. Okay, so that you can see it is the reflection of this boat in the water. Okay, so I whited out the lines. So that's tip number 4. And finally, tip number 5 is using black for shading. So here at the bottom, this said black. It did say black, but I first put a layer of gray and then a layer of black on top. But I also put some black here in the bushes areas, in the darkest shadows. So even though the original illustration did not indicate black, I added black anyway. But sometimes it does do that. Sometimes it will tell you to shade with black, number 24. So don't be afraid to use black, but always go over it with the darkest shade of the other color that is nearby. My final tip, tip number 6, has to do with how exactly you approach coloring the page. All right, so there are a couple of ways you can do it. You can follow the numbers, so you can color all the elements that are number 1, all the elements that are number 2, and so on. I find that that's not a very useful way to color, because you want to be blending the colors together. So if you color all of number 1 and all of number 2 and all of number 3, then you're not going to necessarily get any blended result. Also, it becomes kind of monotonous, coloring the same color over and over again. So what I do is I color across, Okay, so I start in this corner and I color all of the elements across. So I will color all of the green here, and then I will do the sky, then I will do the clouds, everything across, and I work my way down in sections going across. This allows me to blend colors together, and it also prevents the page from becoming a bit monotonous and boring. Before we start coloring, let's talk about sky. On most of the pages, the sky is just a blank area indicated by the number 1, light blue. So I find this a little bit boring. And so on my pages, I've done something different. Okay, so for example, on this page, I indeed did use the lighter shade of blue, number 1, for a base layer, and then I colored around the objects with the next darkest shade of blue, and even put some little squiggles into the sky and then blended them out so that I could get a different look to the sky. Okay, on this page, I did something a bit different. Again, I did the base layer of the sky and then went around the clouds with the darker shade so that the clouds would look a little bit more evident, so that they would pop out forward a bit more. Okay, and in the last page that I've colored, this one, okay, I used again a base layer of the blue, but then around the corners of the sky I used a darker shade and then a mid-tone to blend the two together, and I also added additional clouds that were not in the original picture. So there you go, 3 different ways of making sky. Right, so let's do some coloring, and this is the page I'm working on. And as you can see, I have colored across. I've colored this section of blue for the sky and here, and I've colored across for the clouds with the pink. And now I want to color in this tree. So I can see, just a second, that the numbers that I need are 13 and 23. And if I go to the beginning of the book, I see that 13 is green and 23 is dark green, but I'm also going to get the light green, okay, because I want to blend. So these are the pencils that I'm going to be using. So I have Castle Arts 112, which is the color that I've chosen for my light green. I've got Castle Arts 055 for the green, and Castle Arts 054 for the dark green. I also have a Prismacolor black, and I have a Derwent blender because sometimes it's good to use a blender to blend the colors together. Okay. Right, so let's zoom in and begin coloring this tree. Right, so we are zoomed in, and I have some paper underneath so that the next page won't be damaged, and I have another piece of paper to rest my hand on. We're going to start with our lightest color. So as I said, I am going to go over all of this tree, everywhere where it says 13 and 23 with the 112, okay, regardless of what it says to do with the shading, okay. I think I'm going to leave this. This is white, which seems to indicate that it's a cloud, and you can always keep going back to the image on the back of the page. And what I usually do is take a picture of it with my phone so that I can have it on the side and keep referring to it that way rather than flipping the book backwards and forwards, okay? But after looking at the thumbnail, I see that this should be white, and so I'm going to start here. Okay, so light pressure. I just go over everything, and I don't really pay attention to the lines. Okay, everywhere where it says to put down the green. Okay, so it's basically over everything here. And once you put down your lightest color, you can still see the lines, so that's fine. Okay, and I don't, as I said, No need to pay attention to the lines. They're just a guide anyway. Now notice that here again we have white, okay, and here too. So this is, I think, cloud. If it said 0, then it would be shade, but it doesn't say 0. Okay, and so I am thinking that it is cloud. Okay, but you can always look back at the reference photo, at the thumbnail. Okay, this is white, so it's a cloud. Okay, right, then I go in with the next darkest shade, which is 055. Okay, and this now is the number 13. Okay, number 13 is the green. So now what I'm going to do is I'm only going to shade the 13s, okay, but I'm going to leave the lighter layer as well. So for example, I am going to leave a highlight at the bottom of these leaves, okay? So I'm just going to leave a little bit of this lighter green visible. Okay, and I'm going to go into the 23 as well. Okay, here is the branch or the trunk of this tree, and so I know that there's going to be a shadow here, so I can put there just a little bit darker. Okay, there it says 23, so I'm going to color all of that, and I'm also going to color some of this 13. Okay, and leave a little bit of a highlight. Okay, also 2313, color the 23, and a little bit of the 13. Okay, again, I think 2313, so we color the 23, and a little bit of the 13, leaving a highlight. Okay. And here it's 13, but I know that next to the trunk of this tree, it should be darker. So I'm mainly going to, yes, put it there. All right, then we have 23, so I color all the 23, but it's going to leave this little highlight. Okay, now here we have these little spikes. So I'm going to color these little spikes. I'm not going to go over the line. Okay, because I think those spikes should actually be there because this is a palm tree. Okay, and then let's see, this is all 13, so we're going to carry on. Yes, leave the highlight. Here it says that that should be darker, so let's leave the highlight there and then go a bit darker. Okay, and that says 23, and this doesn't have a number, but I'm going to keep it also as 23. Sometimes if there's no number, it's either white, or you can decide that you want to make it shading. So I've decided to make mine shading because it's going to match this bit. Okay, and here too. Yeah, there as well. Okay, just a little bit over there. And here too, it says 23. And no, it's here, it says 23. This bit. Okay, right. And now we're going to go in with our next darkest color, which is 054, which is basically 23. Now, I like to keep a very sharp pencil in these books because the lines are kind of small and there are some very, very small details. So I'm just going to give this pencil a sharpen. Okay, I've got my really sharp point. Okay, and I am now going to go only where it says 23. Okay, so that was 13. This one's 23. Okay, but we're leaving the two colors that we put behind there. Okay, just a little bit over there. And next to the tree trunk. Okay, that's 13. This is 23. This whole area is 23. So I'm actually going to go a little bit darker. Okay, into these spikes. Okay, around that pink cloud. This says 23 too. Okay, and this says 23 as well. And that's 13, but that's 23. This is also, all of these were 23. Okay, and see there's some of these lines here, so we can put them in. Around the trunk. Down here next to the trunk too. Okay, right, I think that's all about 23s. And now I want to go back in with the mid-tone, 055, and blend these together, okay? Okay. So this way you start to get a smooth gradient between your numbers. Okay. Right, and now I'm going to go in with my lightest shade, which was 112, and then blend the mid-tone and the light tone together. Okay, slightly harder pressure so that I can blend. And I find this so relaxing. I don't have to worry about anything. All I do is put the color down, blend, and I don't have to worry about what colors need to be there because the book has told me. Okay, so yeah, let's zoom out a little bit so we can see the effect. Right, and there we go. It looks like a palm tree. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how I do some of the water. Okay, so here's the water, and the numbers for the water are 4, 14, and 15. And if I look at my swatch chart, I have got 4, which is pastel tint delphinium. I have 14, oh, yes, wait, oh, it's 14 and 15. So I have blue-green, which is 105, and blue is 44. Let me just get that pencil. Okay, so it's blue 44. So those are the colors that I'm going to be using. All right, 1 second. Yes, again, we've got delphinium, we've got 105, and we've got 44. And I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to start on this side. Before I get started, I look at the thumbnail and I see where the water is going to be. So if I look at it here, I see that first of all there are these buildings, and underneath it there's the blue, and then there's blue over here and blue over here, and then here at the top there's a highlight for blue and a highlight for blue over there, and a little bit of a mid-tone over there, and then darker over here. So we're going to try and get that effect, but I also don't want it to be so flat. In order to prevent it from being too flat, you want to make it look more alive by blending these layers together. Okay, so the effect that you will get for that is something that looks more like this. And we're going to color in this section. Okay, now usually I would just continue going across, but because I'm zoomed in, we're only going to do this section. Okay, our next color is also 4. It's also 4. No, it's 14, which is the 105. Oops. Okay, right, so here I can see that there are these objects in the water, and there is always going to be a cast shadow of these objects onto the water. So we're going to make this area just a little darker, as well as the area next to the tree trunk. Okay. Okay, and this I see is 21, so we're going to leave that. And we're gonna go here, and I see that, this is all 21, that's 18, but this is still part of 14. Okay, a bit darker here, and also darker over there into the number 4, because this is some sort of tree trunk that is going to cast a shadow on that. So you can go into the 4 a bit. Yeah, see, this is 4, but I've gone into it a little bit with the 105, okay? And here too, around this object, and also around there, okay? And there. And now my dog has decided that he wants to come and participate. Okay, that this is why you need a sharp pencil to get into these small spaces. And I see that this is also 14. thirsty, Toby? His bowl of water is right here. That's why you can hear him slurping. He's so cute. Okay, and then this is 15. Was that you? No, I don't think that was him. Okay, so this is 15, which is 0, 4, 4. Again, I'm going to just give it a bit of a sharpen. Okay, and we're going to color this bit. Okay, now I want there to be more of a blending between these colors. So you see where the line is between these two colors? I'm going to go over that line slightly with this 044. Just so I can get a smoother blend. On both sides, both the top and the bottom. And I'm going to go closer to the trunk there. And also around these objects. Because I know there should be a shadow. Here too. Okay, and now I'm going to go over again everything with 054, including this 055, so that I can get a better blend. And it will also give it a nice color. It will change the color of this 044 slightly. Give it a more of a teal color. And blend it just a little bit into the number 4 as well. Okay, and now I'm going to take my delphinium and I'm going to blend the 4 and the 14 together, and even some of the 15. Okay, a bit of a heavier pressure to do that blending. Okay. Oh, I like that. I think that's come out nice. Okay, and let me just get a brush so that I can brush off some of these crumbs. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take a gel pen. I'm going to use the Languau calligraphy pen. Okay, and I'm just going to go over the lines. It will make it look like waves. Okay, wait, you see that I got a little bit there, so I just take the pencil and rub it out. And here too, I want this to be a little less noticeable. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and And let's zoom out. Okay, and there you can see the effect. So here we have our palm tree, and here we have our sea, and then I just carry on in the same way on all of the other elements, blending the pencils together. So I hope that you found this tutorial helpful and that you use it in your color by number books. There will be more tips and tricks videos coming soon. So if you like this video, please give it a like. And if you are enjoying the channel, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed, and I will see you all soon. Bye.